All right, man. 210 Boxing TV. Here we are with the most hated Luey Villarreal.
Hated it. What?
Most hated. I just played. All right, so we got some big news, right? 2025 coming up. Got a lot of fights in here in Texas coming up, But the big one, we got this Benavidez Morrell card. Stacked card. We got some of the people we know. We got Candyman John Easter on the card. We got Gabriela Sosa. Who else?
The co-main event.
The co-main event. We got Figueroa and Fulton. That the first fight was one of the classic fights at 122 pounds. Probably the best fight at 122 since I want to say Barrera Morales, bro. That's how good that fight was at 122.
Very competitive, very good. Although I had Figueroa winning that fight, and I met Fulton before. He's a good guy. He's cool, as his nickname is. But Brandon, I thought, edged that fight a lot.
Brandon, right? He's been trying to get the big fight since that fight, right? And he got Maxayo, which was a hard fight, but he was able to beat Maxayo.
Yeah,
Do you think people underestimate Brandon when they talk about all these other guys? They don't really mention him, and Brandon has that motor, man. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why that he's been downplayed so much, but at the same time he's been avoided too, because and I think they think because of his style, it's a little bit more easier to outbox, but it's easy to say that when you're outside the ring, but when you're in there and you're being stormed by Brandon style, it could be a problem for a lot of guys. And Cool Boy Steph is, he's a good fighter, he's a good boxer, and we see what happened there. I thought Brandon controlled the majority of the fight.
The thing with Brandon, right? You could see him in the gym. He might not look impressive. You could see him sparring, and sometimes he'll go slow, and you'd be like, "Really, this is a world champ?" Yeah. But they come fight night.
Brandon's not a gym fighter.
Yeah,
he's under the lights fighter. He's under the lights fighter. He's gonna put pressure on you. Those 8-ounce gloves makes a big difference compared to 16s or 14s or whatever it is that he may be sparring in. But that pressure is nonstop. I mean,
and then he don't stop.
He doesn't stop.
He doesn't
get tired. Yeah.
You think with this fight, right? You got Fulton's gone down a little bit, right, since the first fight. He lost against Inoue, and then he had a hard fight with Carlos Castro, who Figueroa stopped.
Correct.
Do you think that's going to play into this fight where Figueroa, because the odds are even. They got the 110. The odds are even down the middle. Do you think the problems that Fulton's had and Brandon's been on a little good run, do you think that's going to favor Figueroa going into this fight with Fulton?
Oh, definitely. I think that Inoue fight took a lot out of Fulton. Some fights, any person involved in the sport knows that the one fight that could take away a lot out of a fighter. And I think that Inoue fight was just overwhelmingly destroyed the majority of Fulton's career. That was a very, very tough fight he took. And then like you said, he was in a tough fight with Castro. So with Brandon, you think Brandon's going to change for him? Brandon's not going to change. Brandon even wants that revenge, and he's been asking for it. Him and his dad have been asking for that fight. I think a while back, right after the fight, I spoke to Mr. Figueroa, and he told me they were asking PBC to give him that opportunity again for that rematch. And I don't know why they were able to circumvent Brandon, but they did. And good for Fulton. He went and fought and made money, and but now circle back and see what's going to happen. I got Figueroa by stoppage late.
You think, like you said, this fight, they've been wanting this fight. Correct. It was supposed to happen in Houston when Tank was on a fight in Houston. Correct. In December, and then of course that Tank Lamont Roach fight got rescheduled, and then this one got the Figueroa Fulton, it got rescheduled for the Benavidez card. Yeah. Do you think people are sleeping on this co-main because that first fight was such a banger that they're sleeping on this co-main event?
Boxing fan that seen that fight knows better that it was a great fight the first time, and I think it's going to be a spectacular stoppage the second fight. But going to the main event, that's a beautiful main event that any boxing person knows. I think is it 50-50 right now, Brent? I'm not for sure.
The odds I saw, they had Benavidez minus 180 and Morrell plus 130, which is as close as you can get for a mega fight like this.
For a mega fight, correct.
Now, the thing is, right, in my opinion, Luey, I feel people are sleeping on this fight because with this fight, right, this is like the Latino version of Hagler Hearns. You got two guys, Hagler Hearns, they fought in Sugar Ray Leonard's shadow, and you got these two guys that are living in Canelo's shadow, where they're not. Morrell, he's never gonna get the Canelo fight. Benavidez, he's never gonna get the Canelo fight. They're turning their attention to each other, and Nobody right now, man. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to fight each other. You're a matchmaker and a trainer, so you know how it is. Nobody wants to fight each other. And the fact that these two dudes are stepping up to the plate and fighting each other, what does this mean for boxing? And what do you think about that?
Well, the thing, Brian, you know, once you get to the high level where they're at, minus Canelo, like, you have to fight who's there. You gotta have, especially if you want the money, right? Canelo's a bracket in his own because he's a superstar. Kind of like same thing. Tank, like they could choose what Mayweather did. Like they could choose their opponents because they draw the numbers. You know, they're a boss, so to speak. So the guys under them, they're forced. Number 1, number 2, number 5, they're forced to face each other. And you know, at the beginning, David was saying Morrell hadn't really proved anything. But since everybody was talking, you know, David's a dog. You know, they were like, okay, well, there's nobody else. And David has illustrated in the past that he'll fight anybody. And he's a real fighter.
Like, what does it say? I know you like Canelo, but what does it say about you got a guy like Canelo picking Berlanga, a guy that and I like Edgar. Edgar's cool as hell, but you got a guy in Canelo picking a guy like Berlanga. The only reason he picked him because he knew it was an easy win. That's the only reason. And you got a guy like Benavidez picking Morrell, which that ain't no easy win.
No.
You know, so just talk about the difference in that mindset.
The different mindset is business. It's marketing. He's Mexican against Puerto Rican, even though he's really from New York, Berlanga, right? But still, the marketing for that was Mexican, Puerto Rican's always going to sell. Nonetheless, yeah, we knew that Berlanga surprised me. He lasted all the fights. I didn't think he was going to go with that. I thought he would maybe end in the 6th, but kudos to him. He made money. He was able to change his life. He showed that he could be in there with a superstar like Canelo. But it's business, bro. It's business. Canelo's a boss. He can pick and choose who he wants to fight. Same thing like Tank. Tank can pick and choose who he wants to fight as well. The same script that Floyd did. These guys are doing it now. They're making these numbers so. But a guy like Benavidez, he's a real fighter. He's not a marketable fighter in the sense that he got a lot of money behind him, but he has the following of the real boxing fans. So I'm just gonna put it to you. You mentioned Hangler and Hearns and these guys. David is that kind of fighter. Benavidez is that kind of fighter that comes from that era, that mindset. That what you mentioned, a lot of guys don't want to fight each other, but he's one of them that will fight who's ever there. He's been a mandatory for Canelo for what, 2-3 years already, I think, under the WBC.
Yeah.
And that's kind of strange, right? He's never got that opportunity, but Benavidez is a real guy, and so is Morrell. I mean, Morrell don't have that many, but can you imagine all the fights he had in Cuba? I imagine he had like over 300 or something. But and he's a beast. I know people that have seen him in camp in Houston, and they say he's a different kind of animal in the gym.
What problems do you think Morrell poses for Benavidez?
Movement. I think his movement, his lateral movement, his side-to-side movement is going to be a little bit of a problem. But again, I just mentioned that David Benavidez is one of the old throwback kind of fighters. He's a dog. He's not going to back down, and he's going to find a way.
Luey,
he's going to find a way.
Luey, you know the difference, right, between a Mexican and a Cuban. The Cuban, he's going to box from the outside, use his legs, use his speed, right?
Correct.
Do you feel like Morrell, that's kind of what he's banking on, that? Because, he's calling Benavidez RoboCop, that he can't move. That Morrell basically thinks he's just going to be able to move around and just sidestep him. Like remember how when Pacquiao fought De La Hoya and he would just pop up and just move to the side? You think that Morrell kind of has that mindset that he can just use his legs and beat Benavidez like that?
I think he's going to employ that style and try it for the first portion of the fight. But can he hold on to a guy that puts pressure the way Benavidez puts pressure for 12 rounds? And Benavidez can punch. Not only can he punch, but I think they're underestimating his speed because the guy is fast.
Yeah, well, he put those punches together. Remember he knocked down Porky Medina, the way that combo?
That highlight reel, beautiful. But that goes to show you that he may give Benavidez some problem with the movement, Brandon, I think. But I think eventually Benavidez is going to catch up to him. And the bigger dog's going to win the fight.
The Mexicans, right? We have that mindset that we fight a Cuban fighter. Yeah, they're badass boxers, they're good, but take them to the later rounds and drown them.
Correct. I mean,
and it could work against you because then you could get pieced up in the beginning, the early rounds, where you don't make it to those late rounds.
You could get caught coming in, and that may happen. But have we ever seen When's the last time Benavidez got hurt? Been a long time. He's been hurt, and I'm leaning towards Benavidez. I'm leaning towards Benavidez.
Do you just
It's
feel
a
like
great
that?
fight.
Do you
Great
feel like
fight
that gas tank is what's going to separate, and then the experience is what's going to set Benavidez apart?
Under the lights, Benavidez has the experience. The big fights, you can't compare both of them under that. And you know, he's from Cuba, Morrell, and he's had that experience with amateur fighting with the movements and the technical aspect, which is great, and it's worked for a lot of guys. Joel Casamayor, who did he fight? He fought Marquez, right? Remember, and that was another Cuban and Mexican style fight.
Yeah.
And what happened in that fight?
Marquez got
eventually
late.
got to him. So I think that's kind of going to be the script as well.
Just if the later it goes, the more it favors David, the way you see it.
Yes.
All right, man. And then of course, we're here at Ferocious Gym, and just let them know, give them the address and the hours.
I always forget the address, but you can Google it. Ferocious Fitness Boxing Gym. We're open from 10 to 1, and then we close and open from 5 to 9 in the evening. We have kids classes, first responders. We started training Parkinson's people with Parkinson's can come in here. We have classes allocated for them as well. I work with people. I don't just work with fighters. I work with people.